Hello. I want to go on record today just to say a few things about environmental ethics as I see them in regards to SCOD and current politics. I think clearly the corporate pollution of our water supplies in Flint, Michigan, and in the capital of West Virginia, my home state, Charleston, the corporate pollution the corporate pollution of the water supplies are definitely criminal. So I'm going to say a few words and play some music. Okay, so environmental ethics are very important to me. Ever since I decided that my love of nature made me pagan, and I wanted to spend as much time as I could within nature, and living within a national park, being dedicated to the Appalachian Trail, and preserving the wildlife as much as possible that's rapidly disappearing everywhere around us as civilization continues to expand and pave over wilderness for continued overpopulation of the planet by human beings. With species of wildlife rapidly disappearing, what is it, a few every second, or I forget the rate, but it's appalling. It's been appalling for many years. The rainforest is still being cut down, long after the 1980s, when I first became aware of it. And of course, even then it was a cliche. But to save the rainforest, but of course, saving the rainforest is still considered like saving the lungs of Mother Earth, not just for oxygen, but the weather, the climate of the Earth, something to do with the condensation or the flow of air as it circulates around. I don't know. It was explained really well recently in a documentary I was watching, but I mean the science still, more than ever before, points out that it's not a political issue. It is scientifically verifiable that human beings depend on ecology to live. I mean that's science continues to try to find artificial means to sustain life better, but really, our ecosystem has been designed over millions of years through the natural way of evolution, which is, of course, people want to attribute that to a deity, but it is nature's way, whether we see that as a deity or not, but the universe's way, evolution of designing systems. I won't go into that too much, but Mother Earth is a primary metaphor for our world. The ancient, basic elements of our world are introduced here and repeated in the last theme of spirituality. This is from SCOD theory themes. This shows the cyclical nature of our theme categories. Basic elements of nature for design theory, SCOD design theory, sustainable cooperative for organic development. It's pretty simple. It's a simple way of thinking about the elements of nature in their most basic forms, without using modern scientific the complete, having to memorize the complete periodic table and laws of physics. But basically, air, fire, water, earth, and spirit. These are ancient concepts, but they still are basically true as metaphors for various systems, and although not considered scientifically factual now, the concepts are still true. So, we depend on air, with gases, in the atmosphere, windmills, ozone, oxygen, etc. With fire is not a physical element, but it is a catalyst for change. It's a I want to say a reaction, a chemical reaction. It's a it's also known in forms like heat and volcanoes, and through panels we can have absorption and electricity, and so then there would be water, liquid, turbine, hydration. Then with earth, it's geology, wood, and thermal. With spirit, it's human synthesis applications. So those are five elements. Despite modern scientific advances and distinctions based on experiments and discoveries, the simple system is practiced for common sense design. So, and of course there's crossover, as with most subjects. But with the earth elements, again, they're often solids, mass, trees, plants, animals, geology. With air elements of gas, it's wind, oxygen, nitrogen, methane, carbon dioxide. With water elements, liquids, H2O, water, tides, current, hydropower, precipitation. Fire elements, heat, burning, radiation, combustion, photovoltaic, thermal. So, ancient philosophers were onto this, and I have a flowchart which shows all that. And I have an essay called Circle Garden Theory, but I do want to repeat that, what is currently happening with corporations polluting public water supplies, as well as the earth and the air, and destroying, countless plants and entire species. Scientists do believe we are in the latest mass extinction phase, the beginnings of it. And it's not just a propaganda political scam like Michael Crichton envisioned, in his fiction, or that Republican Nazis want to say is just pollution is fake or some shit. No. Scientists devote their lives to this, and they believe in the results of experiments. That's the whole basis of science, is that it's not just a nice bedtime story that we tell ourselves like religion. It's not something that we want to believe in just as a matter of faith. It is based on provable scientific, physical experimentations. And, that is the basis of believing that, humans do affect our ecosystem. And when corporations pollute entire, systems like water supplies for human beings, it should be illegal, and it is illegal. Now they're not being held accountable because, people think that Trump is somehow an actual president, even though he lost the popular election. But the Electoral College spoke and decreed, very undemocratically, that people go, well, it's the system we've got. Yeah. Oh, fucking well. Venezuela has a system too. Every other country that we think is a terrible dictatorship has a system too. But for some reason, when it comes to America, oh, you can't say anything bad because you got to be patriots only follow like good Nazis. Fuck you. Fucking bullshit. So, all you Nazis out there, shut the fuck up. Stop polluting our water. Stop, defending corporations from polluting entire water systems, all our land, still waging war on Native Americans with Standing Rock, saying, defending corporations in courtrooms, saying that, we should still continue to steal from natives and pollute the land we're all Americans now, and we're still, protecting the worst of humanity legally, which is interesting, despite it being illegal to pollute, to poison people. That is illegal. But it's being done on a mass scale by corporations, defended by the rich, defended by people with wealth. So, I don't have a lot of sympathy for people that want to, say we should all, just be like good Nazis. Fuck off. So anyway, okay, I'm gonna keep going. Organic biodiversity is very important. Again, Nazis don't like to hear that. They think, we should have monoculture, and we should breed the best possible that Monsanto can provide for us. Because they're the good corporations. They're using real science that's scientifically proven by large amounts of money. No, that's called bribery, and that's called rigging experiment results. And that's called selling a product, pushing a product for profit over ethics. And don't, corporations that are rich, multimillionaire, billionaire shit, no, once you've made your first million, you've pretty much given up any kind of ethics as far as like that you want to share or be, equal to some like human beings. No. You take more than is reasonable. You want to be a dictator through accumulation of wealth. That's a tyrant. That's tyranny. So, I don't have a lot of sympathy for Republicans or corporate Democrats that defend that shit. I don't think in terms of rhetoric, like be a good Nazi. No. So, yeah, we should probably be more concerned about taking the power back. Fuck trying to just pay your bills. That's not enough anymore. I mean, we all have bills to pay. We're all busy. We all have kids to, no, not, some of us have kids to raise, and things to do. Yeah. Okay. Responsibilities. But, great making the babies if you're giving the planet, a polluted planet full of poison, over to them. So good job, right to life. Let's pop out the babies, keep them coming. And then once they're born, oh, fuck you, you have a polluted world. Have fun. It's fucked up. It's really, really wrong. It's evil. So, I mean, I don't know how clearer I can be about it. I don't give a shit if God said, some biblical God said, humans can do whatever the fuck they want as long as they follow God's will, and it's all good for the Bible because the Bible says, no, fuck off. Pollution and poison, if you're killing, and hurting people, it's wrong. You're forcing people to deal with your pollution because you want to get rich. It's wrong on an epic scale. on a humanitarian global scale to rape the earth and to, you know, destroy ecosystems, destroy habitats for wild animals who don't have any rights. You know, they're living beings with consciousness. And if you care about pets, you better fucking care about wild animals. I'm sorry. So if you know, for any rich person that has a little doggy or a little kitty cat, and they're not interested in preserving wildlife, like foremost, like fuck off. You know, you can go fuck yourself. So, let's see, garden plants. Here's a list. Flowers, leafy plants, herbs, vegetables, fruits. Gardens can be made of many things. There are rock gardens, sculpture gardens, vegetable gardens, herb gardens, and flower gardens, to name a few types. They can also range in size from a small patch to almost farm field size. Also, the variety of combinations is endless. So, yeah, I mean, egalitarian distribution of wealth is not something that should be scary. Socialism, despite propaganda since the 1980s and 1950s, is not evil. It's called what we do now, which is public. It's the most formal word we have for public services, you know, in a political theory way of explaining it. So, you know, it's a belief in the workers' rights and the rights to everyone to the basics of life. And most of the time, the theory is democratic. So you have a democracy of a population of workers that wants things like public transportation. I mean, this is such basic shit. I can't believe Americans are so fucking stupid. They don't know most of this stuff. Public parks. So if anybody likes public parks, any kind of public park, that is social or public. That's what that means. If you think that police have any function in society, that's a public or social service. If you like firefighters, that is a public or social service. If you like roads, bridges, public water should be a right, but now they're being bought up by corporations. And like I said, Flint, Michigan, and the capital of West Virginia now, you know, is the main source of water is highly polluted, and the corporations are free to continue polluting it, while the residents pay for the pollution. So, and the more I hear about it, the more disgusting it is. So, you know, I'm sorry if, you know, I think some, you know, domestic issues are a little bit more important than trying to police the rest of the world. I think that people should not be poisoned by companies in the United States. And, you know, whether we want to blame Russia for having a few advertisements or whatever. But, I mean, Russia is corporate now. So when we talk about influence of elections, the major influence on U.S. elections is corporate greed, is corporate corruption and bribery. And, you know, I would love, you know, I can, you know, deal with whatever feeble counter arguments there are to that, but I think most people understand that. And even in West Virginia, where we're known for not, you know, scoring the best on tests, you know, despite our, you know, our increased testing rates and, you know, best efforts. I certainly tried to, you know, memorize my times tables and everything. But I mean, West Virginians, when, you know, when interviewed about, you know, whether they would like clean water or, you know, some kind of access to public health care, they say, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. You know, they're not that stupid to, you know, yes, they side with coal companies because of the coal, you know, the history of the coal mine wars and the corporate corruption and the thuggery that goes on with corporations, you know, for livelihoods, because they, you know, they view it as their only means to a living, because, you know, there's not going to be no one besides some recent politicians are saying, or giving any signs of hope that there would be any other way to earn a living, to buy things at the company store. When your entire livelihood and heritage depends on corporations being your slave masters, basically, and that and to pollute and rape the earth. So, I think those issues are probably much more important than going around wagging our finger at other countries. They really, most of the problems with terrorism are because we terrorize the shit out of them. We create the terrorists. I mean, if when you bully other people and take their oil, and regime change with the CIA, I mean, seriously, what the fuck do you expect to happen? I mean, if somebody came into your house and said, "I'm going to switch out your dad," they don't even have to tell you. They'll just assassinate the dad you have, put in a fake dad, and then the CIA is like, "There you go. Okay, deal with it." Yeah, they have balls, for sure. They're patriotic Americans. I think in their minds they are the United States. They don't need people voting, to tell them that. They'll do whatever the fuck they want to do. Okay. Stewardship of trees. There are so many applications of tree stewardship in America, yet little funds allocated towards the responsible maintenance of our forgotten cousins. Firstly, trees balance humans by taking our CO2 and giving us oxygen. Secondly, trees hold soil from erosion, shelter us in shade, and use photosynthesis, which can be studied for solar power tech, and are sacrificed as wood for building and fuels. As an architect, I do believe that trees can be much more integrated, and science can be used to actually grow organic architecture that's more in harmony with nature. But unless that's supported as a goal, there will not be money allocated to that. So a mass amount of people have to have the vision for a better future to hand over to their grandchildren. I mean, there are the children that are here now, like the Sunrise Group, bless their souls, that are protesting in D.C., they're awake, and they don't want to be handed over the crap that we're giving them right now. But I think, there is hope that if enough people can share the vision, a united vision of, protecting our environment and using renewable resources that don't poison our grandchildren, that, they might have better lives, actually. There is hope for that. Despite the current politicians that are entrenched going, "I'm sorry, that's just not going to happen because half of the Senate doesn't agree with you guys. So, there's not much we can do." It's just, oh my God. It's so utterly ridiculous. I mean, I have a master's degree in architecture, and when I hear most of the Senate talk, they sound completely uneducated, like no college degree. And if they did, it was in like scamming business, like how to scam people with business, like the mafia school for business or some shit. It's fucking ridiculous. And I studied enough business to know that not every business person has to be a liar that wants to just rip people off. The Zig Ziglar ethics of business says the best client is a friend. You want to actually make friends. You don't fake it. You actually want to care about people. And that's called real business ethics. That's called being a good business person, not a fucking liar and a con artist, like a bot politician or a salesperson that sells you snake oil that's actually poison that's going to hurt you and not actually heal you. So the stranglehold by oil companies on global economies and politics has led directly to military actions, police actions, wars, street violence, invasions, revolutions, and economic problems around the world. Our corporate quest for oil has led the U.S. to support Iraq's war with Iran, which has caused grassroots rebel terrorism in Afghanistan, Pakistan, and turned Iran against us. Then, of course, we invaded Iraq. Our lust for oil to run our engines also led to the invasion of Iraq and its occupation in order to control the oil wells. And, of course, that was not broadcast publicly. Instead, propaganda was broadcast on all the major networks. And when I was in the military and a coworker said, "What's your proof that we're in there for the oil?" I was like, "Well, I'm too busy working. I can't find all the evidence because," and of course, I later found out, well, most of the media is paid off by corporations to not investigate that stuff. So it took me a while, but yes, I eventually found that we hand over the money to oil companies, not the public. So the reason why most of the people of America did not benefit from stealing the oil from Iraq was because the oil companies got it, not the people of America. So if you promote wars to try to benefit America, that doesn't work very well since most of the people aren't going to benefit. It's the companies that hoard it all. They hoard the millions and billions and billions of dollars, and then they pollute the planet. So I just want to try to share that a little more for anybody that's still confused about what's going on with politics, as much as everybody hates politics and, they can't stand the news. But, I mean, it's a little larger than our individual jobs. That's pretty much how I think about it. I mean, as important as I think my one life is, or children's lives are, like, it is a global phenomenon. It is not just, a couple bad apples. Yes, there's a 1%. Yes, there's a 5% at the top that guards, that makes sure that we keep, just polluting the planet to the point of where it, and, with increasing population, yes, there will be more wars. In the field of sustainability, this is what we study. This is not, gloom and doom. This is not just for religious people that want to talk about gloom and doom stuff like it's, for fictional mythology. No. When you study sustainability, you understand that to balance an ecosystem, if you want things to remain alive, the interdependency has to be studied, and like a good doctor that actually cares about people, you want to use science to try to maintain a living environment for human beings. Yeah, Phyllis, I like that you said we are genetically linked to trees. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting how evolution works. It's fascinating, and I think we'll, as long as civilization lasts, hopefully we'll still, continue to learn about how biology adapts and changes and coexists with, like a human anatomy, biology coexists and chemically interacts with plant biology. There's no doubt about it. I mean, it's called an ecosystem, ecological system. And that's what biology is about. So, there's lots of alternatives. Cannabis, hemp. The original diesel engine was run on peanut oil. You didn't have to rape the earth to get oil. Like you can use other means of fuel. It's not impossible. It's being done. What's practical and how can we pay for it? Well, I mean, really the best response to how can we pay for changes that need to be done is that we need to ask how can we continue paying for pollution and perpetual warfare and a increased police state where we think that Nazi racism is okay, for our white Aryan dictator to tell us is oh, they're fine people. It's fine. It's fine to want to be thuggish and support rich people, because the hope that by pulling yourself up by your bootstraps everybody can be rich. No. Or even the hope that anyone can be rich. If I'm competitive enough and I'm mean enough, I can get to the top and be rich. Woohoo! And then I'll really save the planet for me until I die, or whatever, like whatever the goal is there. I think Tolkien had it best when he talked about power, and that's why a lot of times when I get power, I'm ready to give it up. Like as soon as I want to be responsible for things, but when I'm elected as a vice president of the Oddfellow Noble Grand Lodge, and I'm given a lot of that responsibility and authority, I actually am quite quick to let go of it, because my father was mayor and I saw what it means when you hold on to power a little too long, and then when it's ripped from you by an opponent. Like when I played soccer, I was not the best. I had to learn from 12 years of soccer what it means to be a losing team at the end of my career. And one of the worst players, probably, even though I tried probably as harder than most. When you hang on to power, the hope and the glory of being the best, better than everybody, trying to be as best as you can. And it's not to say we shouldn't try, or we shouldn't try to improve ourselves or whatever. Some of us are driven to do that anyway, is what I'm saying. For me, of course, that's just going to happen. I mean, for me, it's as easy as getting angry about stuff. It's easy. It's easy to be driven to want to do things, to want to be greedy. That's easy. It's called appetite. But, the higher functioning brain, the neocortex that we have, I think should be instructional, the more we use it, to think about, the things we devour, the things we want to consume, the things that we want to destroy. Even if it's the mass slaughter of animals. And, I eat meat. I'm not a vegan. I'm not a vegetarian, but I've been eating less over the years, because I do think about all those cows and how the hatchet, how we, we put the bolt through their head and slice them up into little pieces. I think that they are not that much less. Let's see. I sound like a cow saying this. Cows are not that much stupider than a lot of humans. I mean, I think, using a little bit of humor, I think people can certainly, look, there's also such a thing as human disabilities. And if we believe that they have a right to life, yeah, I mean, some humans appear less sentient than cows, and through no fault of their own. Could be accidents. So, yeah, I think those things we should be thinking about while we pay the bills, while we strive to better ourselves, while we, try to be the best we can, which is not always going to be the best. So to think that only the best people should be doing whatever it is just silly. We should do the things that make us happy, as long as we're not, harming other people. That's generally what laws are for. But the pursuit of life, liberty, and happiness. So those are my thoughts today on environmental ethics. So thanks for letting me clear my throat on the subject, and have a wonderful tomorrow. Yeah, the abortion issue, Phyllis. I think nobody wants abortion, and nobody really wants it. I'm not sure that's why that's such a large topic. I don't know how many, I don't know all the facts on that, but I think it is more egregious to keep making babies and putting them into a world where there's no guarantee that they're going to be taken care of. is probably worse. Allowing them to gain full consciousness and being sentient beings, and then saying "fuck you." If you don't earn enough, we'll make you homeless. You don't have a right to anything once you're born. I think that's probably worse, in my opinion. But also wars, also the thousands that die in wars. I think it's. I mean, I don't know, but I think birth control and like trying to better be understanding of what sexuality is, so that we don't just keep being ignorant about what causes the problems. That's I mean that yeah, nobody wants to. I don't think anybody wants to kill babies. That's considered a good person. Yeah, so I don't think anybody's on any side of the abortion issues that's a part of it is going, I'm pro-death. I don't think so. I mean, I'm not sure why that gets brought up so much, but I think there are much more important issues, not just health. That I consider that a health issue. That is up there with all the other things that people die of. Being abandoned, having nobody to take care of you, no matter what your age is. I mean, I think, and there's still people that say there should be no social welfare. Fuck people once they're born. They should all just, suffer and die if they're not worthy. Okay. Or if they don't go to my church. Okay. Yeah. So that's that. I'm not gonna get into that. I think there's much more larger issues, I think, than individual healthcare issues. Healthcare in and of itself should be a priority. So that would include abortion issues. That would include trying to, not have as many babies to begin with, because the more you have, the more people that there are to feed, the less, like, the overpopulation probably kills more people than abortion, I'm gonna say. Like, just wars over territory, once you're born, all that fighting and shit. Like, the shit that goes on in life is more horrific than, I think, whatever consciousness I had as a baby. Like, even if I was terminated. If I was killed as a baby, I don't think that would be more horrific. But that's just my opinion. Than all the shit that I am aware of as an adult. Of the horrors of humanity. That we don't care about people once they're born. As much as, I mean, there seems to be more trying to save unborn babies than trying to save people. And in proportion, it seems out of whack to me. But I gotta stop talking about it. Because, as I said, nobody is pro-abortion. That's ridiculous.